And welcome back, rugby fans, to Rugby411. As always, I'm your host. My name is Joshua Shibata, and this is our Pick'em preview for MLR week number 9, as well as we will take a look at our updated MLR SuperBru Rugby411 Pick'em pool for week number 8. And boy, was that a very, very interesting week of Pick'ems. But let's go with week 9 action. We are at the halfway point of the season. 18 weeks in the season. This is going to be week number 9. And we are going to start with the return of Friday night Rugby Night Football. Friday, April 1st, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We will be at Zion Field. San Diego Legion going over to Utah at the Zion Field to face the Utah Warriors. This is a rematch from week number 1, where San Diego and Utah face off against each other. San Diego barely squeaked by with the win, 31-29, though the Warriors had to come back with 2 tries near the end of the game to almost take the win from San Diego. But in the end, San Diego came up on top. You know, this one was kind of a tough one for me. Originally, I wanted to go with Utah because of the home field advantage, though last weekend, all the away teams won their games. Now, granted, that is an anomaly, but both Utah and San Diego are struggling. They both have 2 losses coming into this game. You know, I really wanted to pick San Diego, but I'm going to go with the home field advantage regardless of what happened last week, and we'll still go with Utah. Hopefully, I feel Utah might figure out what it is that went wrong. Again, there is a little bit of a rivalry between these 2 teams. The fact that San Diego got the win last time might spark a little bit of fire in Utah. Hopefully, again, being at home, that will help, but it didn't help them last week. But I'm going to still stick with Utah barely winning that one. Now we move on to Saturday. Saturday, we have April 2nd, 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Yes, you read that right. 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We are going to finally have the Toronto Arrows at home. It is the end of the longest road trip in the history of all of Major League Sports. Over 1,000 days, the Arrows have not played at home at the Veterans Lions Stadium in Toronto. And what a game to kick off their homestand. The Rugby ATL will visit against the Toronto Arrows. And, you know, after a huge win over Rugby New York, Atlanta has been struggling. They were kind of hot and now kind of cooling down just a little bit, especially after their loss to the New England Free Jacks. That loss might motivate them, but man, there's going to be a lot of momentum now with the Arrows coming back home with a win. They are coming back home, so I'm sure they want to impress. Again, home field advantage, regardless of what happened last week, I'm going to go with the Toronto Arrows with this one. And then later on, Saturday, April 2nd, 2:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we are going back to Veterans Memorial Stadium in Quincy. New England Free Jacks hosting NOLA Gold. Again, this is also a rematch from week number 1 when the Free Jacks beat NOLA 24-13 over in the Gold Mine. Free Jacks are the number 1 ranked team in my power rankings. NOLA is, kind of in the middle, but I feel the Free Jacks have all the momentum in the world, and they will come off with a very convincing win and continue to maintain, I believe, their number 1 ranking in the power rankings. And now let's continue taking a look at the rest of the games for MLR week number 9. We finish up with 3 games on Sunday. First, Sunday, April 3rd at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Hoboken, New Jersey. Rugby New York hosts Old Glory, D.C. Now, granted, last week, New York shocked by the loss to Toronto Arrows. I don't think that's going to happen a second time, and I don't think it's going to happen to the bottom place team in our power rankings, Old Glory DC. So I will give this as a bounce back win for Rugby New York pretty convincingly. And then the next game, very similar fashion, we move to the West Coast, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, at the world famous LA Coliseum as your reigning and defending MLR champions hosts the also looking for their very first win of the season, the Dallas Jackals. Just like the game above, this is probably going to be a bloodbath. LA Guiltinis are finding their form, and the Dallas Jackals have yet to find it. So I feel Guiltinis will walk away with a pretty convincing win. Now, the next game, that's going to be the one that's interesting to finish off the week of MLR action, Sunday, April 3rd, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We are going to be at the Circus of America, Austin, where the Austin Gilgronis host their interstate Texas rival, the Houston SaberCats. Very interesting game. Austin started off at the beginning of the season as one of the top teams of the MLR, are now on a 2-game losing streak. Houston SaberCats, kind of inconsistent after their big win over the LA Guiltinis to start the season, and now are on a 2-game winning streak of their own. So, you know, again, this one was kind of a little tricky one. I really feel Austin, even though a little inconsistent, coming off of a bye, Houston having a big win against Utah, but I still think Austin will pull off the win here at home. Again, I know last week all the home teams lost, but I still feel there's something about the home field advantage, and I still feel Austin is a pretty good team, though they are struggling recently. So that's the pick'ems for the week. Seattle Seawolves have the week off. They're the only team with a bye. Why don't we now take a look at our Week 8 SuperBru Rugby411 MLR pick'ems, and the results are pretty interesting. So as you see, congratulations, Harry. Harry got the gold cap. He got almost all of the games right except for one. The one that I think was the biggest shocker of the weekend, the Toronto Arrows and Rugby New York. Who'd have thought Rugby New York would lose? But congratulations, Harry, for getting a great pick with the golden cap. Great job there. Coming behind, I'm pretty bad at this. Brandon B-Dog82. Footy Balls is up there along with Frisco Flame. And then myself tied at the bottom for 5th place. But man, Footy Balls, look at you. It wasn't pretty, but you have more points this week than USA Rugby Union fan, which a little disappointing, USA Rugby Union fan. I don't know if maybe you're pestering Footy Balls or myself calling him out motivated him, but man, Footy Balls has come back this week. So now, USA Rugby Union fan, the ball's in your court. Let's see what you can do in week number 9. Now let's switch to the overall leaderboard. And now it's very interesting because all J Long, who, you know, admittedly did not do so well. I mean, a lot of people didn't do well last week. Still at the top with 52.5, but the gap is narrowing now that Harry got that golden cap this week. 46 points. He's only 6.5 points behind. Behind him is MSDR FC 83. I moved up a spot to 4th, and Scary Larry moved down a spot to 5. But again, it's anybody's game in this one, just like in MLR itself. Anybody can make the jump up. As you saw, you know, all J Long for the longest time was so dominant, and now that gap is slowly starting to narrow. And if Harry or if MSDRFC 83 or myself or even Scary Larry get some gold caps coming up, I mean, that gap could be almost non-existent. So still lots to play for, guys, and you never know. Hey, Footy Ball's got a great week. Anybody can have a great week. You just have to play, though. So, once again, guys, thanks for playing in my pick'em pool. The winner at the very end gets an MLR t-shirt, courtesy of myself. So, still lots to play for. Continue putting in your picks. And thank you again for checking out the video. And I hope to see you on the pitch.